Hello, we're Stark.
Welcome everybody to our One Provider Complete Infrastructure webinar. For those of you who are less familiar with Stark, we were originally a software company which was founded in 1981. Over the last 40 years, we've grown and expanded our service offering to include pretty much everything from your point of connection through to the meter and the data beyond that. I don't know the pictures. It's a bit small, but behind my big head there is images of all the companies, infra, works, data, and we'll go into a little bit more on those through the course of this. So myself and my colleagues, we represent Stark Works, which is our ICP, Stark Infra, which is our IDNO, Stark Charge, which is the CPO, and Stark Zero, which is mostly related to the project's net zero journey. And rather than talk for the next 30 minutes at you, we're going to take you through a model project, and this will be from the very first site visit through to long-term operation. And we endeavour to show you the end-to-end approach, how our end-to-end approach delivers certainty for your project in many different forms. So this is whether you're managing budgets, evaluating suppliers for your organisation, or advising clients on infrastructure decisions. Today's session will show how our integrated delivery protects investment and supports strategic investments. Easy for me to say. By the end of today's session, you'll see how Stark can assist with project coordination, which is essential for a project's journey. Here we go. So here we are, the team. We're speaking in today's webinar. My name is Matthew McIntyre, and I'm a Business Development Manager for Stark Works. My main role is to be point of contact for clients and assist with inquiries, both general and project specific. Once we have a project inquiry, I hand it over to Graham and his team. Graham heads up our technical solutions team, and he's got a wealth of experience within the industry. Personally, he's anything complex, he's a real go-to for me. So Graham, if you'd like to take it from there.
Good morning, my name is Graham. I head up the tendering engineering team, as Matt said, which is a team that provides you with the deliverable network infrastructure solution for your project. Thank you.
Thanks, Graham. Next up, we've got Gareth Williams, who's our head of operations. Essentially, after Graham's team delivers the proposal for us, go through the necessary pre-contract discussions. Once in contract, Gareth and his team pick it up. Gareth has been delivering projects large and smaller scale for many years. He's got extensive experience with networks and their construction. And Gareth, you can take your own introduction from there.
Thanks very much, Matt. Hi, everyone. I'm Gareth. I head up the operations delivery team, which is the team that ultimately delivers the project in accordance with the detailed design proposed by Graham's team. We do this with continual engagement, a clear program of works, indicating all the relevant stakeholders, dependencies, and milestones, ensuring smooth process is followed. Thanks very much, Matt.
Okay, as well as the ICP and IDNO, a large part of our One Provider Complete Infrastructure solution, we own and operate charge points. It's just Stark Charge and Stark Zero, which basically cover all things net zero, such as PV, BESS, that sort of thing. Our head of business development for these units is Fiona. These are rapidly growing areas of the business, and Fiona's knowledge and leadership are fundamental to this success. Fiona, if you're happy to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Hi, I'm Fiona Price, Head of Business Development for Stark Charge and Zero. I help clients on the decarbonisation journey through solar, EV charging and battery storage.
We have an invisible colleague in the form of Leanne Smith, so she's in the background and keeps things running smoothly. If there's any tech issues, anything like that, feel free to reach out in the chat and she'll do her utmost to assist. So let's establish how today's session is going to work. It's a 20-minute presentation and a 10-minute Q&A. You can use the chat, say hello, react, and make comments or feedback as we go. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the questions and we'll come back to them at the end, as I say, for the 10-minute Q&A. That'll be private between you and us, and happy for you to ask any and everything you want that's related to this webinar. So in a second, we'll do a quick poll, which will get started and get people participating. You can use the download link to access the handout, although it may well be in the add-on at the bottom right for yourselves. So yeah, we can crack on with that now. If you would like, so we'd like to understand what your biggest concern with infrastructure projects is, whether that's initial planning and assessment, budget overruns, regulatory compliance and grid connections, long-term operational efficiency and asset management, managing multiple stakeholders and contractors, or it's about future-proofing the technology investments. Run that now. And I just had this problem in a run through previously, so I need to see if I can get the answers up. Okay, brilliant. So the majority one is budget overruns and hidden costs, which is a concern for everybody in construction, no matter where you come from, because it's massive. It is massive. So thank you for those. We'll hopefully cover some of the ways we can help you avoid that through the course of this presentation or webinar. Excellent. Let's get this started. Right, we'll take you through a model project from start to finish. This shows you exactly how we tackle each challenge that's been identified. We'll use a project that addresses every complexity you face. This is how we work. This from the first site visit through to the end, through to the long-term operation of your project. So Graham's going to pick it up from now to introduce that project.
Hello. Right. So the first stage is one that is critical, and it's the assessment and planning stage and the traditional assessment problems. Now, at this stage, here's what typically happens in simple terms. An electrical ICP contractor is engaged with and assumes a standard grid connection from the DNO. You need EV chargers on the development, so EV charging specialists quote in isolation without considering full electrical load and impacts on the network. You need solar panels on some or all of your units, so solar installer designs without understanding the network constraints, working in isolation. Metering and data requirements become an afterthought. Each specialist provides pricing in isolation, and project teams try to coordinate conflicting designs and specification. The result, variations, delays, and budgets overruns that create headaches for everyone involved. So our comprehensive assessment approach is different. We bring electrical networks, EV, solar, metering, and data specialists together from day one. Every requirement is understood in full context. All systems are designed to work together seamlessly. You have a single point of accountability for all stakeholders and an accurate, comprehensive pricing from the start. This is where accurate pricing comes from, knowing exactly what we're dealing with upfront at the beginning of the project. So let me show you what our model project looks like at stage one. So as an example, we've got a industrial site, large industrial and commercial development, 7 new commercial units on an estate, each with different infrastructure needs. There's a complex 500-meter offsite HV route, which requires careful stakeholder coordination. The requirements of development was 1 large unit, which was a 2 MVA supply with HV to HV metering. So that was to a private network. A couple of units that both wanted 1 MVA supplies for commercial and manufacturing use. And then 4 units that wanted up to 500 kVA for commercial, office space, etc. Units 2 and 3 required fast charging requirements for delivery fleet operations. So they needed 12 sockets on both units. And the 4, 5, 6, and 7 required 100 kilowatts of PV on each of their rooftops. So here's what we found that potentially other people could miss. So the delivery fleet needed rapid charging instead of 7 kilowatt chargers for their staff. Also the 500-meter HV route, which was going through an existing industrial estate. This required a coordination with various other units and their requirements. One of the users wasn't sure of their EV requirements yet, so we needed to engage with future capacity, and planning was essential for this. Network adoption opportunity, designing for Stark Infra as our IDNO to adopt the network, and part of the PV application, so submitting the G99 to the DNO as part of the point of connection application stage. We ensured any export that was required was agreed with and approved by the DNO and IDNO at the very early stage, which ensures no delays when handing over units to occupiers once complete. Using our expertise, we identified there was optimal charging points based on usage patterns, solar sizing that maximizes ROI, and infrastructure capacity to accommodate any EV growth in the network. With our in-house IDNO, Stark Infra, our design team collaborates closely with the adopting network operator to ensure designs meet IDNO requirements from the start, reducing design reviews and again, reducing costs. We leverage our expertise to identify optimal charging points based on usage patterns, maximize ROI with solar sizing, and ensure infrastructure can support EV growth. Our coordinated planning directly influences equipment selection, enable us to engineer solutions for longevity, efficiency, and future needs. So at this stage, the project would then be handed over to Gareth for delivery. And so that's exactly what I'll do.
Thanks very much, Graham. As Graham said, now we move on to the coordinated delivery aspect. So when managing these complex delivery process, it's often found that in the delivery phase is where many projects encounter coordination challenges, not because individual specialists lack competence, but because effective project coordination is missing, which we aim to eliminate by our clear project communication and detailed program of works. Here's a familiar scenario. Electrical work begins, then EV charging contractors discover infrastructure mismatches, solar installation conflicts with other building services, multiple contractors, multiple project managers, multiple reporting lines, stakeholder frustration, and project delays. Our approach at Stark is a unified project coordination with single accountability. We work with 3 principles to drive our delivery. These are communication, collaboration, and accountability. Every change triggers immediate cross-team review. We coordinate before we install, which should eliminate the costly fix-it-later approach. For your organization, this means 1 project contact, 1 reporting structure, and 1 point of accountability. Here's how this would work in practice. A challenge on this project was the 500-meter HV route through the industrial estate. This required traffic management and coordination with EV charging installation and solar work happening. Traditionally, each contractor would handle this separately, creating multiple disruptions. The approach at Stark, we coordinate all HV installation, EV charging groundwork, and solar delivery into a single phase with consolidated traffic management. The result, minimized disruption to the existing estates and clear dependencies and milestones from us. Another challenge was Unit 2's DC charging requirements, changing mid-project, where they expanded their delivery fleet. Traditional approach would be variation orders, design changes, program delays, and additional costs. The Stark approach, we anticipated this in Graham's team's detailed initial designs. Infrastructure was already sized, and for expansion, we simply added additional DC units from our framework agreements. The result, no program impact, minimal cost increase, client pleased with the responsiveness and attentiveness. Here's also where Stark's MOP comes in. The alignment between our group companies means we can ensure suppliers are energized and ready in good time, removing the need for additional partners and potential delays. Everything flows seamless because we're all working toward the same goal. I'll now pass over to Fiona to take you through the next stage, stage 3.
Brilliant, thank you, Gareth. So something we're seeing more often is infrastructure that limits business growth when EV charging and solar needs evolve. Our strategic approach to future-proofing is many contractors focus on meeting immediate specifications at the lowest cost. We focus on life cycle value and strategic asset management. Our approach, size core infrastructure for anticipated future requirements while installing current capacity equipment. This strategy eliminates costly retrofits whilst avoiding unnecessary upfront investment. Strategic considerations for your organization, technology evolution and advancement, grid integration and compliance requirements, organizational growth and change in operational needs, asset value optimization, and long-term planning. The goal is infrastructure that grows with your business, not infrastructure that limits it. Our model project, EV and solar solution. So the current installation, we'd be looking at 12 EV charging points with expansion capability to 24, solar installation with export capability ready for activation, and infrastructure designed for organizational growth. So we'd look at future proofing, where we'd install infrastructure designed for up to 24 rapid charging points if required. Data integration with Stark, you will get access to disaggregated EV charging data and capacity planning that supports long-term organizational objectives. As an IDNO and ICP, we reserve 7 net meters VA capacity from the DNO, enabling network construction with built-in expansion capability. This approach supports future organizational growth and change in operational requirements without major infrastructure investment. For asset management teams, you receive infrastructure that grows with your organization, comprehensive data for informed decision-making, and the confidence that your investment won't become obsolete. I'll now hand back to Matt for the final stage.
Thank you all. So finally, we're going to address the long-term partnership as infrastructure success extends well beyond the sort of final connection, final commissioning of all our works. As the IDNO and CPO, we have, in most of the cases, invested in the infrastructure, so we have stakeholders and aren't just focused on the moving on to the next project like you do find with some similar contractors. So after energisation, projects begin a 20+ year operational relationship. Success requires a partner committed to long-term performance, regulatory compliance, and organisational support. Infrastructure technology services, infrastructure technology evolved, regulations change, and organisational needs shift. As partners, we invest in your long-term success, not just your project completion. And this is particularly important for public sector and asset management organisations. You need the confidence in your long-term support and performance. It's also a benefit to those advising on multiple clients. We understand that when you recommend a provider, they need to deliver, otherwise it's your relationship and your reputation as well. So having that understanding in our investment will help support you in that and give you more confidence, I would hope. And the benefits of the long-term partnership with Stark, for your EV infrastructure is we own and operate for 5 to 10 years with performance guarantees. We have proactive maintenance and 24/7 monitoring, access to disaggregated half-hourly data, fully managed EV charging service. So if there's an issue, it's fixed and you wouldn't even know there's an issue. And for your network as the IDNO, we adopt your network forever until it's disconnected, which is a long way off, we would hope. And obviously ongoing supply compliance and safety management is essential, and we provide it. Unlike traditional contractors who install and leave, we ensure your infrastructure is future-proofed in the design phase for long-term success. So key takeaways from today's session is no more nasty surprises. We assess everything up front, electrical, EV, solar, the lot. That means accurate pricing from day one, not costly variations later. On the phone call, one phone call fixes everything. You'll have account managers after the project's finished and delivered. You'll have access to everybody you need to just pick up the phone and give us a call, and we'll make sure whatever the issue is actioned. We build to last and design to grow. So as discussed, future-proofing the new networks is imperative. And obviously we're going to be the owners and operators of it in most cases. So therefore we make sure it's built to last. And we do more for a full 360-degree offering to include metering and data services for maximum savings. So it's not obviously just the building, commissioning and adoption. It's the data off the back of it is really important to Stark as well, which some of you and many of you, I think, in this session will know about us for most of all. And obviously we stick around for our DNO network and managed services. We're a partner for the long haul. And again, it's not just until it's commissioned and we move on to our next project. As I say, we've run over. We do appreciate everybody who stuck around and listened to the very end, and I hope that's been informative and helpful for everybody. contact details. The more general ones are on there, but I believe there's a, let me just double check what it is. You would have seen in the chat probably, infrastructure contact handout. It can be accessed through the apps and handouts. Please feel free to reach out to us. Obviously, feedback is essential on this sort of thing. It's the first one I've done, and a couple of my colleagues as well. Fiona's the experienced one here. But yeah, I'll end it there, and thank you all once again for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Stark. Your energy is our world.